Um, I recently wrote an article called Rethinking the $968 billion the U.S. spent on war in 2024. Um, Basically, in 2024, the United States spent $968 billion on defense, which equals roughly one out of every $5 the federal government collected in taxes that year. And it's also more than the next 12 largest defense budgets combined, including China, which spend $235 billion in 2024. Russia spends $146 billion in 2024. So we spend more than China and Russia plus 10 other countries. Basically, the next 12 largest defense budgets combined, we spend more. It's crazy. I just wanted to dive deeper into that in this article because I feel like it would give me peace of mind just to know what we actually spent. And then I saw that Trump and Hegseth want to spend $1 trillion on their first year in 2025. And then I think about every dollar spent on early childhood education yields up to $7 in societal benefits, including increased earnings, reduced crime, and lower health care costs. So that stat is pulled from the Heckman equation. Okay, so the Heckman equation is not an opinion or a standalone study. It's actually a summary formula based on a large body of economic research led by Nobel Prize winning economist James Heckman. Specifically, the Heckman equation refers to his research findings that investing in early childhood development, especially for disadvantaged children, yields very high economic returns over a person's lifetime. He created a simple way to express early investment over later remediation. In other words, the earlier you invest in children's development, health, education, emotional support, the better the economic and social outcomes, and the higher the return on investment. So it's based on decades of empirical research and modeling. It's not just his opinion. It's kind of a cool formula that I use for I used his formula for this article that I wrote. But I'm thinking just like in the article I say put just $100 billion toward the infrastructure of early education. And that's kind of like a form of defense in a way because it doesn't rely on force. It relies on foundation, creating better negotiators, strategists, which we need if we're going to even talk about real defense like our military, but invest some of that in foundational structures. If that makes sense. Education becomes a defense strategy of its own, is what I'm saying. And it doesn't rely on force, but it relies on foundation. These are just thoughts that I was exercising in this blog. I thought it was pretty interesting.